Great poverty contrasted with great wealth characterizes Asia's economies. Parts of Asia, such as Japan, Singapore, and some of the Middle East oil-rich countries, have standards of living equal to that of most Western countries. In other parts of Asia, such as Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, and Bangladesh, many of the people live in poverty. Within many of the countries of Asia, there are great gaps in income levels, with a relatively small and wealthy elite living beside large masses of people who struggle to survive. Many factors account for this inequality. Probably one of the most important is that many of Asia's people still depend largely on agriculture for their living, so a middle class has not been able to develop through industrial growth. What limited industrialization there is in most Asian countries tends to be concentrated in just a few large cities. The wealth produced by such urban-centered industry tends not to spread evenly throughout the countries. Asia's traditional societies, reluctant to change customs, also foster inequality in some ways. Most of Asia's peoples are farmers who struggle to produce enough food to survive. Meat is a luxury for most Asians, eaten only on special occasions. The diet tends to consist mostly of rice or other grains, plus small amounts of vegetables and fruits, and protein from non-animal sources, such as beans. In many countries, fish is also an important source of protein. Thus, agriculture is an important part of the economy in many Asian countries. In much of Asia, the main food crop is rice. Wheat is important in parts of northern, central, southwest, and South Asia. Crops grown for sale include tea, sugarcane, coconuts, and rubber. Sheep and goats are raised for meat and wool in most of Asia. China, Japan, Indonesia, India, and Russia catch large amounts of fish. Asia has large reserves of almost every important mineral. The continent has more than half the world's reserves of coal, mostly in China, Siberia, and India. Major deposits of oil are found in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. Asia also produces large amounts of iron ore, cast iron, tin, tungsten, and refined zinc. Asia has some of the most highly industrialized countries in the world, such as Japan, and some of the least, such as Nepal and Afghanistan. Between these extremes are found all levels of industrial development, from countries just beginning to develop modern manufacturing, to those that have already made some marked progress. Three of the most successful places that have rapidly industrialized, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and South Korea, are in East Asia, and one, Singapore, is in Southeast Asia. Mainland China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand have also achieved considerable progress. Overall, East Asia ranks as the most heavily industrialized of the subregions of Asia, followed by Northern Asia and Southeast Asia. Throughout Asia, there is a strong movement to change traditional agrarian societies into modern industrial societies. Various economic plans have been used to accomplish industrialization in socialist and non-socialist countries. Some countries have used features of both socialist and non-socialist programs. In communist countries, notably in North Korea, in China and Vietnam, until the late 20th century, and in the Soviet Union before its dissolution, largely socialist programs of industrial development were followed. Generally, in this approach, there is no private ownership of industry. Everything is owned by the state, and workers are employed by the state. The system is highly centralized, with decisions made by the central government. China and Vietnam began adopting free market economic reforms in the late 20th century that allow for private ownership of many businesses, and both countries experienced great economic growth. Various forms of the free enterprise, or capitalist system, are being used to develop manufacturing in much of Asia. Private ownership of businesses and factories is encouraged. Governments primarily are involved in regulating and planning, and sometimes investment in expensive manufacturing, such as iron and steel, or transportation.